So hello and welcome everybody to the webinar, Energy Star Certification for Refineries. My name is Alan Bikema and I'm a sustainability engineer here at Solomon. I lead the Energy Star coordination efforts at Solomon, where I assist the EPA in evaluating U.S. petroleum refinery qualifications for the certification. We are joined here today with Danny Macri from the U.S. Environmental Protection Agency and Jason Akey from Marathon Petroleum Corporation. A few comments I want to note is that this webinar is currently being recorded, and you will receive a copy of the recording in about a month's time. Additionally, we'll be posting the recording to the Solomon website. Likewise, we'll be having a 15-minute Q&A at the end, so please feel free to submit any questions in the chat during the webinar, and we'll try to address them at the end. If we don't get to your question during today's session, we'll try to get back to you with the answer shortly. So the slide you see before you is our confidentiality statement. This is a general reminder to everyone that the content you see today is proprietary to Solomon and that you must not share with anyone without our consent. This includes the presentation slides, the insights we share, and our methodology. Today, I'll be covering a brief overview of Solomon and our history with the EPA. What is this metric the EPA and the refining industry rely on? The importance of operational energy management with trends and insights on how the best look like compared to the rest of the world. And finally, a brief overview on how to certify for Energy Star. For those that are unfamiliar with who we are, Solomon provides data-driven strategic insight across the energy industry for clients in nearly 80 countries. Established in 1981, we conducted our first refinery fuel study, as well as developed the industry standard metric Energy Intensity Index, or EII. Here you will see we've mapped out some of our more significant milestones over the last 40 years relating to energy and sustainability. But the key message I want to highlight here is to show that the EPA has adopted and been reliant on EII as a key performance indicator to determine refinery qualification for Energy Star dating back since 2007. So let's take a closer look at what EII is. EII, or Energy Intensity Index, is a Solomon proprietary metric to measure energy efficiency and is one of the leading metrics used by companies and government agencies throughout the world today. The EII methodology provides a fundamental approach for assessing energy efficiency as it compares actual energy consumption for a refinery with the expected or standard energy for a refinery of a similar size and configuration based on an analysis of more than 300 refineries worldwide that participate in our biannual refinery fuel study. The ratio is then multiplied by 100 to calculate the EII for that site. A refinery with a lower EII has a better energy efficiency than one with a higher EII. This relative comparison of efficiency is similar to the system EPA used to evaluate other industries in the United States. So this brings me to my next slide. Why is operational energy management important? Operational energy management is vital for organizations due to its numerous benefits. First, it offers cost-saving opportunities by optimizing energy consumption, resulting in reduced utility expenses over time. Additionally, it helps in reducing both volume and non-volume related costs, including insurance rates, which can be lowered by showcasing responsible energy usage. Furthermore, operational energy management plays a significant role in reducing pollution and lowering a company's carbon footprint, which aligns with environmental sustainability goals and meets the expectation of socially responsible investors. By demonstrating a commitment to energy efficiency, organizations can enhance their reputation, attract investment opportunities, and improve access to capital. Overall, effective operational energy management positively impacts the bottom line while contributing to a more sustainable and socially responsible future. So how do the world's best refineries perform in energy management? Here I want to share some insights from our most recent World's Best Refineries report from our 2020 field study analysis. The chart represents how the world's best refineries perform and the value of benchmarking their energy efficiency. Many companies in the world today are actively looking to reduce carbon emissions, and one of the best ways to do this is to improve energy efficiency. Solomon sees a direct correlation between EII and CEI, which is our carbon emissions index. So better energy efficiency directly leads to lower carbon emissions. As you can see, the world's best, denoted WB, are in the first quartile, while the rest of the world, labeled ROW, are in the third quartile. So what is the value of benchmarking your EII? Solomon did a case study of 2 sets of refineries that had participated in our field study for over 14 years. EII, on the x-axis, is plotted against utilization adjusted to exclude shutdowns. The numbers beside each dot represent the associated study year. Notice the world's best are in the upper left-hand quadrant of good energy efficiency and high utilization. The red group of refineries are the maintainers, who showed no improvement in energy efficiency, while the green line represents a group of refineries that improved their EII by over 20 points over the last 14 years. Through benchmarking, these sites are able to work their way from the bottom of energy efficiency, track their progress towards improvement, and reap the benefits I previously mentioned. So how does this relate to ENERGY STAR certification? In order for a site to certify for the ENERGY STAR program, a refinery must first meet environmental compliance criteria. Then we will determine whether or not a site is in the top quartile of energy efficiency for its capacity size. If a site meets these criteria, we then issue a statement which must be stamped by a professional engineer, and from there the site must complete any outstanding application documents and submit all forms to the EPA. If you have any questions about my portion of the webinar, feel free to use the chat. And if you have any additional questions about Solomon or want to know if your site qualifies for ENERGY STAR, please feel free to reach out to me with the above contact information. Now I'd like to hand it over to Danny Macri with the EPA to speak more about the ENERGY STAR program.
Great. Thanks so much, Alan, and hello, everyone. I'm Danny Macri. I'm with the ENERGY STAR program at the U.S. Environmental Protection Agency. So first, I want to thank Solomon for hosting this webinar and for partnering with ENERGY STAR on certification. And also a big thank you to Marathon Petroleum for being a really strong ENERGY STAR partner and for your achievement of energy efficiency at your refineries. So I'm going to reiterate the importance of energy management, which Alan went through, but also talk about how recognizing plants and employees, how recognition is really critical to help organizations achieve their goals. And ENERGY STAR certification of your refineries is one form of recognition offered by EPA, which I will explain how to apply. Next slide. We've studied how industry can decarbonize and save money. And in our estimation, energy efficiency is one of the largest benefits to the industrial sector in reducing emissions and saving money, including your sector, the refining sector. And we know this because ENERGY STAR, we've worked with petroleum companies over the years on energy management, and some of whom have reported over $1 billion in savings over the years because of the programs that they run. Now, the other important factor about energy efficiency is that it's a really important source for reducing carbon dioxide emissions. You use less energy, the fewer Scope 1 and Scope 2 emissions are emitted. And the refining sector's carbon emissions are really among the largest in the US industrial sector, and this is documented and well known. So when your energy management programs, when you are increasing the efficiency at your plants, when this is running well and you are producing results, This is something that you can share with those who are scrutinizing your emissions. You can demonstrate through certification and other forms that you are a top leader. Next slide. Now, Energy Star, we've been working with the industrial sector since the early 2000s. And during that time, we've emphasized energy management as a best practice, not just upgrading technology, but energy management. And during that time, we've seen that the companies that have really excelled the most are the ones that are recognizing good performance from the teams in their plants that are managing energy. And the reason why they spend time on recognition is because energy management, at the end of the day, it's all about people. So you can install as many pieces of energy efficient equipment as you want, or you could write up as many SOPs and policies that you want about energy and carbon reductions. But if you do not motivate people to follow those procedures, and you don't motivate them to look for new opportunities, you're really not going to achieve the savings that you could otherwise. At the end of the day, it's the people who are saving money. They are the ones who are reducing plants' impact, and they are the ones who are building the reputation for the plant based on avoided environmental impacts. So recognizing employees, sometimes companies would use monetary incentives, but what we've seen is most effective, and it's really simple, is just simple recognition. So companies can recognize staff by having CEO or a senior executive show up at an event, calling out teams or people by name. If you're a mid-level manager on this call, maybe consider inviting one of your leaders to an event and let them know how important this will be for your staff. It may even be sending a letter of thanks to someone who has made a big contribution. Now, we've seen behavioral practices and things that people control, like fixing steam trap failures or reporting compressed air. These practices can reduce a plant's intensity upwards of 10%. So taking time to craft a short letter of thanks or a recognition event will help keep that momentum going, and frankly is a lot less expensive than doing an equipment upgrade. So next slide, just to sum this up, is do not underestimate the value of recognition. And on the next slide, you're going to see an example of people. This is the Titan American cement plant in Roanoke, Virginia. And for over 16 years in running, they have been Energy Star certified. So you could see the smiles on their faces. They are motivated to keep that certification, and they check in with us to let us know how they've been doing year after year. So these are all things that you can do to motivate plants. But EPA, we also want to motivate you and help you make the case to your management to invest more in your programs. And one of the most effective ways to do that is by certifying your refineries with Energy Star. Energy Star certification means that your refinery is one of the most energy efficient ones in the nation. Now, I'm sure many of you have seen that label in your homes. You may have an Energy Star certified appliance or a computer. But in addition to putting this on products, we do put them on industrial facilities that are the most energy efficient. And that's important because Energy Star has wide brand recognition. If you go to the next slide, when someone sees the Energy Star label, they know that it's a reputable mark and that it can't be trusted. And if you don't believe me, you can look at this data. This was a survey conducted by Good Housekeeping a few years ago, and it shows that of eco labels, and it shows that the Energy Star mark has 92% acceptance and trust of the American public. And what I find most funny about this chart is Energy Star is even more trusted and has higher recognition than the EPA label, which has 61%. But EPA is the one that's managing this program. So when someone sees this label, they know that it's reputable and it can be trusted. And you all spend a lot of time and money maintaining your brand. And if you tell a marketing professional that they could affiliate with a brand that has nearly 95% approval rating, a keen marketing professional would want to jump on that opportunity. So if no one from your marketing departments is on this call, make sure you forward the slides to them. Next slide. So companies are certifying not just for the recognition. They are doing this because it helps validate your performance to management. They are spending a lot of money making investments in energy environment. When you get certification, that shows that you're doing a good job. They also seek recognition because it demonstrates their commitment. A lot of companies have sustainability goals. Certifying with Energy Star is something that you can do right away to show your performance. And again, it's a really strong way to help motivate your staff. Next slide. So how do you apply for a certification? I'm going to spend a few minutes to go through that. First, you're going to figure out if you're in the top quartile. Energy Star, EPA, we're going to do a compliance screen. You're going to need a professional engineer to validate the data. You submit an application, and then we certify you. I'll break this down into a little more detail. Next slide. So Energy Star certification, it acknowledges that your refinery is energy efficient. It's not a mark for an environmental compliance, just energy. But because this is given by the EPA, we want to make sure that any plants, refineries that receive this mark don't have any significant violations. So what we do is, if you think that your refinery is about to certify or close to certification, you can email me, and I am going to initiate a compliance screen, which is just to check that there are no significant high priority violations of the Clean Air Act. Also going to check if the refinery has entered a consent decree in the last year. If it did, it won't be eligible that year. If it has in previous years and it hasn't been terminated, as long as the refinery is in compliant, it could be eligible. And we also check that there have been no criminal convictions. We're not doing an additional plant visit. This is just reaching out to the states and our regions to see what the current status is. So if you pass the screen, we'll then notify you of that. The next step is to really confirm that you are in the top quartile of performance and to put together the documentation to demonstrate that. So Alan will go through that in a little more detail.
Thanks, Danny. So when I received confirmation from Danny that a site passed the environmental compliance screen, we then determine whether the refinery is actually in the top 25% of energy efficiency for its capacity size. This assessment is always done with the previous year's data. So if a site was a top performer in the previous year, it will actually earn certification for the current year. The way we assess refineries in the top quartile, it actually depends on the year. So for example, odd years such as this year, we'll use the most recent field study data to then determine the Q1 EII breakpoints for each capacity group. We then are able to create a curve, which will then average with the prior two study curves to build a 3 study year rolling average breakpoint curve for all capacity sizes. For even years, such as next year, we require sites to submit their previous year's data through a pro forma of our field study, and we'll determine top performance using the prior year baseline. Sites that have less than or equal to the EII breakpoint for their capacity size then qualify for Energy Star. So finally, for sites that qualify, we then issue a statement of energy performance, which then must be stamped and approved by a professional engineer of the site's choosing. So I just want to reiterate that if a site qualifies for Energy Star this year in 2023, it's all based on their 2022 process and performance data. So just keep that in mind. And on this next slide, this is an example of that statement of energy performance that we issue to those sites that do qualify. So you'll see here It's a written statement, it's a written right that you are a top performer for your capacity size. We'll assign and approve it. And then over there on the bottom right, you'll see you need a professional engineer signature, their license number, and a stamp, all that good stuff. So now I'd like to hand it back to Danny.
Okay, so when you get that statement of energy performance from Solomon Associates, you would send it to me. In addition to that, there are a few other forms that you need to complete. We want to make sure that the PE who you engage, they do check everything that we require. So there's just a 2-page checklist that you could download through our website. You'll get that link shortly that they would need to fill out. On the next slide, what you're going to do is, once you engage the PE, have that filled out, you would send the statement of energy performance, which Alan showed, the PE checklist on the previous slide, and then an application letter and an award specification sheet, which is on our website. We do send, we want to make sure that in any recognition material, we have the right name of the plan, of the company, people to recognize, so that's what that is. If you do the compliance screen, it just takes us 1 to 2 weeks to respond. Again, those materials are available at energystar.gov/plants. The next slide shows what happens if you are certified. We will send a congratulatory email to the energy manager and also a congratulatory email to the CEO or a senior executive of your choice. It's not often that your companies are going to get a letter from EPA to your CEO congratulating them on a job well done, but we do want to do that if you have met this milestone. The refinery will receive a certificate along with the Energy Star decal, which you could put on the refinery. And we'll also include you in a press release and on EPA's Energy Star website. Next slide. We have issued 94 refinery certifications since the early 2000s among 18 refineries. There are a little over 100 refineries in the US, which means that there are some of you on this call who probably are in the top quartile but haven't been certified yet. So this is still possible for those that haven't been certified yet. Next slide. So as it implies, certification is only available for the refineries that are in the top 25%, which means not everyone is eligible for it. But we do have an additional program called the Energy Star Challenge for Industry on the next slide. And any refinery or even a terminal can get this recognition if they reduce their energy intensity by 10% within a 5-year period. It is showing my internet is unstable, but well, I'll try to push on. Next slide. So participating in the challenge, this is good. If you have a refinery that doesn't have energy goals, maybe the staff there isn't tracking energy as much as they should. When you register for the challenge, you need to come up with a goal. You need to start tracking energy. So this could be a good way to get them involved in that. If you want to participate, the next slide shows you the steps. All that you need to do is you need to first establish your metric, which may be total energy divided by total barrels divided by total energy. You go to the next slide. Then you develop a baseline. So what's your energy intensity over a 12-month period? You would register on the energystar.gov/industry challenge webpage. And then if you achieve that reduction in 5 years or less, you would have a PE validate those savings and you'd apply for recognition. Again, it's for any manufacturing plant, refinery, terminal. So another way to really motivate people and your energy teams. Next slide. So to summarize, managing energy is critical. If you manage energy, you're going to use less energy. That'll help reduce your emissions. Look into Energy Star certification. If you don't know where your refinery stands, reach out to Solomon on that. If you don't qualify this year, but you're close, set a goal for next year. Or if not, consider applying for the Challenge for Industry. So use recognition and certification in the challenge to help motivate your plant leadership and your senior management. And companies that we have seen improve the most. Again, they do have their own recognition programs. So you can reach out to me with any questions. My contact information is on the next slide, but I'm really happy now to turn it over to Jason Akey from Marathon Petroleum. Marathon Petroleum has received the most Energy Star certifications of refineries in the industry. And Jason is going to tell you how they've leveraged certification to achieve their goals and to motivate staff. Thank you.
Thanks, Danny. That was a great summary of the certification process. Appreciate it. So as mentioned, my name is Jason Akey. I'm Marathon's energy technologist. My responsibilities include progressing the energy management programs at our 13 refineries. This afternoon, we're going to talk about the value that Energy Star certification has brought to our company. First, I'll tell you a little bit about Marathon Petroleum. Our business value chain includes operations across petroleum refining, midstream logistics, and retail marketing. We have over 130 years of history in the energy business, and we're headquartered in Findlay, Ohio. Next slide. Marathon's shareholder commitments include a Scope 1 and 2 greenhouse gas intensity reduction goal of 30% by 2030. Energy efficiency is a core strategy for us to achieve that goal. Marathon is proud to be recognized by the EPA's Energy Star program as a 2023 Partner of the Year. This was our 4th year earning Sustained Excellence status. Next slide. This map shows where we operate, highlighting the Energy Star certified refineries. I specifically want to mention our Canton, Ohio, and Garyville, Louisiana refineries, which have earned the Energy Star facility certification each year since the program's inception. Last year, Marathon certified a record number of 6 facilities, which is nearly half of our petroleum refinery fleet. Next slide. Okay, let's discuss the business cases for managing energy. Alan touched on that. I'll give you some tangible reference points. You know, after crude oil purchases, energy is typically the second highest expense. Our observations at Marathon since we started our energy program about 15 years ago is that we're saving nearly 2 billion BTUs per hour from the combination of our energy KPI program and energy efficient investment choices that we've made during capital projects. The energy efficiency program has also provided benefits in that it's helped us progress our sustainability goals. Our Scope 1 and 2 emissions intensity is down 23%, meaning we have 7% to go to hit the 2030 goal. And our water intensity is down 15%. When you consider something like steam, it takes a lot of energy to generate and use steam. So if you can reduce that energy and that steam demand, you're also reducing water consumption. This graphic on the right displays how our energy program has continually driven down the company's energy intensity. From 2005 to 2012, the EII of our legacy 6 refineries dropped 7%. In 2013, we acquired a large refinery that was less energy efficient and integrated it into our company. From 2013 to 2018, we've been able to improve the energy efficiency of that site. The money that we saved in energy operating expenses was reinvested in the business with the purchase of 7 more refineries in 2018. And you can see since then, we continue on that multi-year journey to improve those sites as well. The point here is it shows that Marathon can acquire a less efficient refinery or set of assets, deploy our energy efficiency program, and make impactful change that gives the company a competitive advantage. Next slide, please. All right, what's the value of certification to Marathon? The photo in the lower left, it's a bit of a dated photo, but it's from our Canton refinery. When you enter through the main doors of the administration building, you're greeted by a wall full of annual Energy Star certification plaques. It gives a great first impression of the facility to visitors and new hires, and it lets them know that we have a partner relationship with EPA and Energy Star. An observation I have is now that we have 6 refineries certified, it's common for the general managers of the other sites to ask its staff, what do we need to do to achieve Energy Star? This has sparked competition among sites, fostered knowledge sharing, guided investment decisions, and generated site goals that support the company priorities. Certification also enabled us to apply for and receive the Energy Star Partner of the Year award. Associating the Energy Star brand, which implies excellence, with Marathon has provided value for our company's reputation because it means something important to the public. Certification, as Danny mentioned, requires energy efficiency and good environmental performance. These are key scoring elements for rating ESG programs. Marathon's ESG scores have continually improved, broadening our investor base and driving shareholder value. Next slide, please. To keep building momentum for energy efficiency, we have several employee communication tools that we deploy. The graphic on the far right is an example of an Energy Star poster that our Detroit refinery generated after its 2022 certification. The posters were crafted specific to each department, describing the projects, behaviors, and activities they completed that supported achieving top quartile energy efficiency. They provide the employees a tangible connection between their contributions and the end result of certification. Some refineries have celebrated their site certification with an Energy Star Industrial Showcase. At these events, we'll invite trade groups, neighboring industries, elected officials, regulators, and community members to attend. At an industrial showcase, we'll have poster board sessions about sustainability topics. We provide refinery tours, and we have several speakers to talk about the value of our partnerships with the community and with Energy Star. In our refining division at Marathon, we have a monthly email newsletter called Focus on Sustainability. It goes out to roughly 8,000 employees. It includes 4 to 5 articles per month that describe various refinery actions that are either conserving water, reducing emissions, or increasing energy efficiency. They are led off by a message from one of our GMs or executive leadership. And then lastly, we share in our certification pride with hard hat stickers. These are good advertising for employees. You know, it's a source of pride to put that on your hard hat. And you can also use them as trading cards with contractors or folks that don't come in the plant often. Next slide, please. In terms of communicating externally, we communicate through our social media outlets. News articles are published to our main Marathon webpage, and they automatically then shoot out to LinkedIn, Facebook, and other sites. I noted that when I was reading page 2 of our 2022 annual report, that has our CEO's opening message in it. He specifically mentions our energy efficiency performance and certification achievements. And I think that to have a CEO mention EPA's Energy Star program in an annual report opening message really speaks to the importance of our Energy Star industrial partner status. This program is really helping facilitate our journey toward sustainability targets, and it has a lasting, trusted brand for recognizing our achievements along the way. Lastly, we issue an annual sustainability report in which we describe our recognition by EPA and Energy Star for Partner of the Year, refinery certifications, and Challenge for Industry awards. Next slide. All right, now we're going to transition to Marathon's alignment with Solomon's benchmarking services and how they help us stay on top while the whole industry continues to advance. Marathon participates in the biannual fuels study, which provides high-level energy information, such as the gap detail shown on the right. I want to clarify that this specific graphic is for our Detroit refinery before they started efforts to close energy gaps. In 2019, we hired Solomon to also conduct a 3D energy, otherwise called a deep drill down analysis, using our 2018 data. The 3D study provided insights to where our refineries have specific process and utility opportunities to close the energy efficiency gaps, and which I'll describe in a case study coming up. So with these details from the 3D study, we generated what we call energy roadmaps. Some people will call them a flight path or flight map. These energy roadmaps are for each refinery, and each site has a goal of achieving a specific milestone. It could be first quartile EII, it could be US best, or some other milestone. So to summarize, we find that complementing the fuels study with the 3D energy study has provided the detailed benchmarking information that's allowed us to create energy strategies for our assets. The project paths that we lay out in these energy roadmaps may require considering less conventional technologies or high efficiency heat exchangers, and sometimes equipment electrification. As a company, Marathon also believes that new digital solutions such as machine learning, simulation twins, and AI will be tools, important tools for unlocking additional energy efficiency. Next slide, please. Okay, here's a case study of how the benchmarking information was put into action at one of our refineries. Some background, Detroit had not been qualified for top quartile Energy Star efficiency for about a decade. But after that 3D energy study and the output received, they took on the challenge of reducing the site's steam demand as one of several core strategies. Around steam, some of the tactics that they identified and deployed, including setting up a site steam team to tackle failed steam traps and steam leaks. In my observation, I'd say that the operating team now has ingrained in its culture to proactively manage the steam system. The technical team coordinated step tests on distillation towers that had steam reboilers to reduce the heat input to a quality constraint. And they also looked at balancing waste heat steam generation in pump around sections. The result of this work was they were able to lower the steam demand to the point where the boilers, two boilers, needed more turn down capability. With a couple of small projects, they were able to get to the point where they can get one boiler in hot standby, almost idling, and the other boiler can be at minimum times, near minimum, without unnecessarily venting steam to atmosphere. Steam was just one of several strategies that they worked on, but I wanted to highlight an example of how benchmarking can guide meaningful change. In 2022, Detroit also had great operational reliability. The resulting energy intensity index was improved to inside the Energy Star breakpoint, which allowed them to be eligible for certification. I'd like to conclude by thanking both Solomon for its respected benchmarking services and Energy Star for its excellent program framework and support staff. Marathon values its relationship with both of these organizations. With that, I'll send it back to Alan with Solomon.
So I think that concludes today's webinar. So I'd like to thank everybody. Thank you for your time and thank you for your attendance. Please feel free to reach out with any questions and we'll try to answer the rest of the questions shortly. Thank you.
Yeah, Alan, thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Danny. Thank you, Jason.
Thank you.